All right, item number 4. This one is my number 1, but nobody else said this besides me until I mentioned it, and then everybody that I texted was like, oh, actually, that's totally true. So item number 4, waiting until you're done with the entire conversation and then asking you to repeat this entire conversation to a family member. I cannot even tell you how many times I've had like a 15 to 45 minute conversation with somebody about MRI findings, about my thoughts on a disease, I mean, anything. And at the very end, I'm asked, can you talk to my wife? She's the one that handles Fluffy's care. Please, and I'm asking nicely, again, I'm not hating on anybody. It's just a time thing. If you can up front at the start of the conversation say, let me put you on speakerphone, which most people do. I mean, this is like a small amount of people that do this. But if you can say, let me put you on speakerphone, or can I connect my significant other or family member into this conversation? Please do that from the start and don't wait till the very end to make us repeat it again. The reason this is again, it's just the fact that we don't have enough time to spend double conversation on every pet and every owner that we come across. There's just too many patients throughout the course of the day. Again, I'm not hating on anybody. I'm not saying that I don't, do it and it's something that it's kind of part of the job, But if that could just get out there and people could be a little bit more aware of that, I think that would go a long way too, because I can literally document times where I've spent an extra 15 to 30 minutes re-explaining a problem and saying word for word the exact thing that I said the first time. Meanwhile, I just have to wait on, again, more emergencies kind of building up and delays and starting things, and my day just stretches and stretches, and my support staff stretches and stretches too later in the day. So again, no hate, not trying to put anybody on blast, but if you can just maybe be cognizant of that going in, that would be super wonderful. All right, on to item number 5. All right, item number 5 is ask you to speak to a human doctor, friend, or family member. So let me kind of walk you through something that happened to me. This is about 3 years ago. I was working in Chicago as a neurologist, and I took over a case from my colleague. This was a very challenging meningitis case where a dog was just not getting better and had been in the hospital for about, I think 3 or 4 days. And I take over for one day. It's during her off day. I take over for her, and I'm just looking at the dog. I'm basically like, we call it babysitting, where we just kind of make sure that they're stable, no changes to the treatment plan, no change to their function, their neurologic status, or otherwise. They're just there for one more day, and then their main primary doctor comes back the next day, just get them through a day off sort of a thing. This happens all the time. So I took over this case, called the owners, and they were kind of then starting to wonder whether or not they wanted to keep going, which is always, awkward spot to try to walk in after 5 days of care and then be the one who's talking about like end of life decisions while you're just meeting them for the first time. That's not a great spot to be in, but nonetheless it happens, so you just deal with it. But I go in, I meet with them. This is pre-COVID. I meet with them in person and talked about some stuff for a while. And then they asked me to talk to I think it was their cousin. I think it was the wife's cousin, who is a physician, an emergency physician in Turkey. I think she was Turkish. And I said, sure. I was just naive, didn't know any better. So put her on the phone, and I am instantly greeted with somebody screaming through the phone. This is apparently a Turkish physician screaming at me about the cost of care, how we are not doing what we should be for this dog. We should be ashamed of ourselves for how much we're charging. We should be ashamed of ourselves for how we can't find a diagnosis here. I literally just I just sat there and took it. I was just like watching an iPhone on speakerphone with a loud voice coming out of it. And this went on for like 10 minutes. I kid you not, this person was screaming the entire time. So after about 10 minutes, I said, look, I've had enough. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I went to my boss. My boss basically said, yeah, I never let people that aren't the owners talk to me. because for that very reason, they're not the owners. They don't make the decisions about the dogs, and you don't have to talk to some third party just so the owners can kind of watch that happen. I can see maybe talking to a family member who's a veterinarian. I've done that before many times. That usually goes fine. But you don't have to be obligated to just start talking to third-party members about, well, what their opinion is. They're not veterinarians. I don't care what their opinion is. If they want to be nice about it, that's great. They can be on speakerphone while we talk. That's totally fine. But you should not have to answer to some person that's not a vet and not the owner of the pet. That's just ridiculous. So, after that experience, that really shored up that, what was I doing? I don't know why I did that. And I'm never going to let that happen again. So I've been asked that a couple of times before, and I just politely say no, because you're the owner. I'll communicate with you, and I will explain this to you as best I can, and you make the decisions about it. And that's that. If you need to talk to somebody, that's great. You can definitely get a second opinion. You can talk to, anybody you want to, but this is my opinion, and you need to make decisions off of it. And I do not have to communicate with a bunch of people all at once. I need to communicate with you. All right, and item number 6, this one was brought up by my wife, who is an emergency vet. And again, maybe this is because I'm a specialist and I don't deal with this sort of thing anymore, which again, top of Mount privilege, here I am. But showing up to an ER and complaining about the wait time. Here's why this doesn't make any sense. There's this thing called triage that I'm not sure a lot of people who aren't medical professionals really know about. But triage means that your pet and all the other patients, let's call it, in the hospital, it works the same way in human medicine. All of the patients that are in there are put in an order of who is the most emergent or urgent, okay? So the people and pets with the most severe problems will get seen first, and there becomes like a rank order, a queue, if you will, of patients. Now, if you come to the ER and your dog has a torn toenail, that dog is totally stable. He'll get checked out, vital signs will get taken, that sort of thing. But you are going to move to the very back of the line in that case. And you might have a 10-hour wait, or you might not even get seen overnight, to be perfectly honest with you. The reason is, there's a lot of sick animals that might be at that facility at that time, and they have to be taken care of in front of your pet. And you have to understand that. This is a good thing. Your pet is not that sick. That's why you're waiting so long, okay, to get your pet seen. If your pet is very sick, then I can almost guarantee you the facility there and the staff is going to do everything they can to triage them to the very front and get them seen as soon as possible. And I would not spend too much time believing articles or anything online or on social media talking about how, Fluffy was super sick and nobody wanted to see her and she didn't get seen for 10 hours and died in the lobby. The bottom line here is that every pet and every person gets triaged in an emergency room, and the staff will get to you as soon as they possibly can. I'm not saying every staff is perfect, and I'm not saying that every hospital is perfect and every medical decision is perfect either. But what I will say is that if you show up to the ER at 8 o'clock at night and your dog is pretty stable and doesn't have a problem that's life-threatening and isn't an emergency, after it is briefly evaluated, like say its vital signs get taken, then yes, you very well might have to wait many hours in the waiting room or in the parking lot to have your pet seen, okay? But please don't lose sight of the fact that this is actually a good thing, because waiting means your dog is more healthy than other dogs who are not going to wait or not able to wait, okay? All right, guys, so just wanted to clear all that up. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, I'm not hating on anybody. I know that this is hard. I know that these times are stressful, both with the pandemic and everything else that's going on in the world today. And I know that adding a pet emergency to that is extremely difficult, and it's easy to freak out and start worrying, and that leads to almost like not acting yourself a lot of the time. But again, I'm not hating on anybody. I just wanted to put this information out there so that, again, if you can just be aware of it, then that might help with preventing this and allowing you to maybe just kind of sympathize and empathize with veterinarians and veterinary support staff going forward. So, Again, I hope you enjoyed that. Feel free to hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment below, or if you're a vet or vet tech or work in a vet hospital in any capacity, maybe leave a comment below and let me know what drives you crazy from pet owners. Again, let's keep it light. Don't want to like hate on anybody and go too hard into this, but if you want to leave a comment below, that would be great. All right, I will talk to you soon. Thank you very much.